Hey everybody, this is Mike with On Point Preparedness. I want to do a video that is nothing fancy. It's not even necessarily entertaining. It's just practical. It's something you need to know though in terms of preparedness and survival and everything. Now, I've been preparing for a pretty long time. I'd say I was awoken probably around 2001 and started hardcore preparing a lot later. I mean, I was fairly young back then, but hardcore preparing since 2012. So a good solid 6 years about. Now, if you're middle class or you're well off and you've been preparing for a while, odds are you start to accumulate lots of stuff and it can be overwhelming. And even if you're not well off and you've been struggling about what should I buy, or you're just starting to prepare, and it doesn't really matter what span of income you've got, inventorying what you have and what you want to buy is absolutely necessary. I just have to stress this, that for a long time, I'd start putting things in bags. And you've got a lot of bags. Think about it. A bug out bag for each one of your family members. There's something called a get home bag. So again, you're not going to have your bug out bag, or you're probably not going to have your bug out bag on you at all times. I know some people do. They're vigilant about having their bag in their car when they go to work. But a lot of times, people have a separate bag, get home bag, something smaller. Just how can I get home from work to my home, and what might I need along the way if something were to happen? And then you've got medical bags if you do that, and communications bags if you're into ham radio. You've got all these bags, and it can start to get really overwhelming. And you start to actually misplace things. And in addition to that, the seasons change. And so between summer and winter, you actually have to start, cycling out your clothes and cycling out some of your shelter configurations and things like that. And I'll tell you what, if you don't have it inventoried, and not even just bags, just the preparedness stuff you have in your basement, the things that you're storing, if you don't have it inventoried, you're going to waste so much time, because you're going to look at what you got, you're going to say, I'm good, you're going to come back 2 months later and you're going to forget everything that you have down there. And so this is all about strategy. Strategy with what you have and where you're going to put it and what you're going to do with it. Strategy about where are my gaps and how am I going to fill them. Again, doesn't matter if you're on the low income spectrum or you're on the high income spectrum. We all need to do this. And so I showed you on my last video this little web page that I build your own bug out bag ideas. And so one of the key things, I talk about skill level, survival needs, cost, the fact that this is a very personal thing. But I split out what you need to get in terms of categories like air, shelter, water, fire, food, tools, communication, medical, things like that. So it's really the categories that are the highlight here. But I do give you some examples. But I want to go a step further, because this, this page is a little bit outdated. My stuff has changed since then. Again, it highlights the importance of your inventory. So when I do want to modify my wife's bug out bag, which I'm actually in the process of doing right now, I can go and I don't have to pull everything out of this bag. I can actually just go here and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I need this, I need that, I need to swap out this or that. Again, it's just nice to have it handy. So in addition to this website that I gave you, you can go ahead and pause this video and look through some of these inventories that I have here. I'm not saying they're perfect. Again, I'm in the process of sort of revamping these. Now that I got my cart, I sort of need to think about, okay, what would I put in my cart? And what would I put in my bags? Because ideally, I'd like to have that cart with me at all times. Ideally, rather be home, and then next I'd be in my car, and then cart, and then on foot. But if I had to ditch the cart, what is my minimum stuff that I would need in my wife's bag and my bag? And it can't be too heavy either. My wife is 5 foot. She weighs about 100 pounds. We've got 3 kids. She's going to have to carry a 2-month-old, 3-month-old. There's a lot of considerations that you have to give here. But so you can see hers. I'm not saying that this is the best example of what you should have in a bug out bag. Again, it's all about personal preferences. she doesn't have survival skills. And so she doesn't have, as minimal gear as I do, like just giving her a knife and paracord saying, go at it. I need to give her a couple of commodities and things like that to help her. But you can see that the key point, the thing that I have to stress here is you got to bracket out these buckets here. Shelter, hygiene. So that's something that's really overlooked. If you're going to be out in the wilderness or out actually in urban areas and you're traveling and you're out there for any duration of time, hygiene is critical. I mean, Revelation talks about famines and pestilences, infections. So, in all of our bug out bags, I do have toothpaste, toothbrush, nail clippers. That's something people forget about. And soap. Water, fire, food, communications, power, light, tools, medical, security, navigation. These are all key buckets here. Another one I don't have here, but I do have it in its own little category here. Cash. Cash and metals. If you have silver, if you have gold. I'm actually starting to move away from the fact that we're even going to have any money. I mean, that was when I was beginning to prepare, thinking about, recovery afterwards. But now that I have this end times mentality, I'm like, I really don't care about silver and gold. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's, right? But yeah, so this is my wife's. Again, here's mine. And I actually need to go through this and refresh it and see, because I have a couple question marks here. I'm going to highlight those just to see if I want to get rid of these things. But, yeah, your shelter is going to be closed, and you're going to have sleeping considerations and your tent considerations or hammock. Again, I have the same exact categories as she does. Hygiene, water, fire, food. Now, my communications, I actually don't really have any communications on my bag. I think if I had anything, it would probably be my Yaesu handheld radio or my Baofeng handheld radio if me and my wife wanted to communicate. But I actually have a separate comms bag with all that stuff going on in there. Again, that's going to be on my cart. If I have to ditch my bigger equipment, well, then I'll just take the little handhelds out and I'll just stick them on my bag. Power. I actually don't think I had that on my wife's bug out bag list, but power considerations. Do you have a solar charger? Do you have a wind charger? Do you have AA and AAA backups for some of your headlamps or whatnot? What are your headlamps and light considerations? Navigation. This doesn't mean that you have to have a compass and like a USGS map or anything like that. I do recommend you have a compass at minimum, but you don't have to have the USGS maps and everything. I mean, just even printing out maps on your Google Maps and having those in your backpack. Tools is a really big category. Some of the things that I carry that I don't see a lot of preppers carry is bolt cutters. I have a small, I think it's 8-inch bolt cutter, because a lot of the people that were trying to flee, the refugees from the Middle East and Syria and everything, they actually got caught up on border fences where there was barbed wire, razor wire, things like that, and they couldn't get through. That's why I carry bolt cutters. I also have, and I see again, I need to update this. I have a lockpick set, so I carry that on me. Security. Again, this is a very diverse topic between Christians. Some believe that you should be armed, some not. I, for one, am going to be armed. I need to protect my children and my wife if the need arises. And again, it'd be the very, very last ditch thing that I would ever do to take someone's life, but I do want to protect my family. And medical considerations. So again, you can pause this video and see what I've got in my bag. Again, this should be fairly up to date, but I do need to do some updating to that. Comms bag. I'm not going to go through this. This might actually be a separate video, but I've got a lot of different things strictly for communication, global communication, local, things like that, just to hear what's going on. This is a lot of heavy equipment, and this is specialty equipment. Again, talking about all the training that you have to do to know how to use each of these pieces of equipment, because I've got something called a base station, I've got things called handhelds, and it takes training to go through all those and make sure that training doesn't decay. It takes a lot of time. But you can see I've got some other things down here. I'm not going to go through all these, but my get home bag, that's what I put in my car. I got a medical bag. Again, for security, I've actually got 2 different steel-plated vests. So I talk about, what do I have in my individual first aid kit? What do I got in my little survival kit? How many mags of ammunition do I have? I have a fast vest, just something that has minimal gear. Again, I took a couple hours out of my day one day and said, all right, I'm gonna go through everything. I'm gonna go through my gun safe. I'm gonna go through my vests. I'm gonna go through my bags. I'm just gonna put everything out there. And it was so helpful to see what I needed, what was junk, and it's a continually processing thing. So I hope that you do this. I use Evernote. It's nice because you can have it on your phone and you can put it on your computer here and work with it. You can print it out. That's the other thing, is make sure you print this out just so you always have a hard copy. I'm old school. And last but not least, since I've been doing this a while, since about 2012, and I've accumulated a good deal of stuff over the years, I honestly started to get a little bit overwhelmed with how much stuff. It actually starts to put you into a little bit of bondage. The Lord wants us to prepare for what's to come, but don't focus on this stuff so much because, like I said, communications and security and physical fitness and survival skills, bushcraft skills, wild edible skills, there is so much, medical skills, there is so much that you could prepare for, and it's absolutely impossible that you can prepare for everything. But a lot of the prepper mentality is to start to get stressed and start to have this consume yourself by focusing on the fact like, oh, I need to be doing my comms training every single day or every other day, and I got to be working out, and I got to get my survival books. Prepare, but don't have it put you into bondage. Don't let it consume you. And make sure that you just do your obedient part and then leave the rest to the Lord, because He will provide and He'll take care of you, and His will be done. So I hope this was helpful. Again, nothing fancy about it, but it's something that I really think you need to do. It's really practical. It's really necessary. So until the next video, I'll see you guys.